Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the Ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
We are 15 days from celebrating again the birth of Jesus. Joy to the world. Merry Christmas, everyone. Here comes Kate Smith, and God bless America. Good morning, good morning. We need a patriot with the Pledge of Allegiance. Call in. Come on. Good morning to you, and welcome to Zeb at the Ranch on this Tuesday, December 10th. As I said, 15 days left before we celebrate Christmas. Make it a best Christmas ever. And, of course, our thanks go to our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you with the best of tires for whatever the wintertime weather puts on the road. You'll be ready to go. Absolutely. And Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you, along with our friends at Greystone Crossing Senior Living at 1221 21st Street in Hayburn. Seniors living the good life with friends. Right now, let's go to the phone line and have our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
My friend.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Doug, I want you to call back in a few minutes. I want your opinion on something because I think it's very important. Please, thank you for doing the pledge.
I have one I'll share with you.
Real quick. Oh, okay. I got it. Woo, went right over my head. Time for the weather forecast brought to you by K&R Rental, and they're located at 256 South, 600 west of Hayburn. Good morning, Roger and the crew. They turn the key in the lock at 7 a.m. to serve you with the best tools and equipment. All you need to do and all you need is to stop over or give them a call. Believe me, they can help you with rental tools and equipment for any project for both long and short-term rental. Not sure what you need? Hey, give them a call, 678-3122, K&R Rental. And right now, here's our substitute weatherman, Scotty. Good morning.
Well, looks like we're going to have a little bit of snow in our forecast. Good morning with your Zeb at the Ranch weather forecast. I'm Scotty Cameron. Expecting some fog this morning, and then hopefully that's going to burn off and be mostly sunny today with a high of 39. The clouds will start increasing tonight with a low of 23. About a 20% chance of snow, then mostly cloudy for tomorrow, a high of 40. Tomorrow night, mostly cloudy, a low of 27. Now, Thursdays when things start to get interesting, about a 70% chance of snow and rain, a high of 43. Friday, also Also, about a 50% chance of rain and snow and a high of 41. That's your Zeb at the Ranch weather forecast. I'm Scotty Cameron.
Oh, my. Thank you, Scotty. Great job. He and Gina both very, very dedicated to giving us the best of weather, and brought to you by K&R Rental. As I said a moment ago, if you're not sure what you need to finish a project, all you got to do is call Roger and the crew, 678-3122. Explain it to them. They'll help you. They've got what you need. The best of tools and equipment at K&R Rental. 256 South, 600 west of Hayburn, right there on the Burley-Paul Highway. Absolutely. Don't forget, Thursday this week is sale day at the Burley Livestock Sale Yard, 1100 Occidental Avenue in Burley. Merv May, Cade Rogge, Lance Udy at the sale that works for you. Number to call for cattle consignments and sale information, 678-9411. That number again, 678-9411. Thursday sale day, Burley Livestock Sale Yard. I'm guessing that they're going to probably start at about 10 a.m. Don't miss it this Thursday, Burley Livestock Sale Yard. And a great big good morning to Daryl's Cleaners. I forgot to stop in there yesterday with my bag of Rumply Crumplies. I've got to get back down there, and believe me, they can help you get all your tablecloths cleaned up from Thanksgiving. Oh, Uncle Albert, he spilled all the cranberries, and Aunt Martha, she spilled part of the gravy on it. Oh, my goodness, you got to get ready for Christmas. Take everything in to Daryl's Cleaners. And don't forget, too, if you don't have time to do your own washing, they'll wash, dry, fold, and iron all your clothes, just like Mama used to at Daryl's Cleaners. 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. Really, really good people. Nice to talk to, too. When you get in there, take a little extra time and say howdy, just like Minnie Pearl. I want you to give me a call, and we'll talk about anything you want to talk about this morning. I've got quite a few subjects, but we'll visit about what you need. Later on this morning, we're going to have another ham giveaway for Christmas. Compliments of Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and Deanna and I at Zeb at the Ranch, and they are to be picked up at Smith's Food King in Twin Falls or Burley. We'll send you the certificate. You can enjoy a Christmas ham. So there you go. I want to remind you, too, about Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Hello, Ramsey's. All, underline that little word, all, your heating, cooling, and electrical needs, and the best of knowledge and experience from a staff and people that have been serving you for almost 70 years. Wow, they are good. And I urge you to give them a call, 678-0459. Open 7:30 to 5, Monday through Friday, where they provide warm winters and cool summers. Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. I got to admit, I tried. I really did try to watch all the balderdash in D.C. yesterday. I tried, but I had my blood pressure keep going up and up and up and up, and I said, time to take a break. The insanity of, and if you're offended by this, I got to tell you right up front, I don't care. The insanity of the Democratic Clown Convention was overwhelming. And at one point, I never have seen anything like this. A Democratic witness against the Trump administration got up from being a witness chair and went behind the dais and became a questioner. Huh. Darn. That was interesting. And then this morning, I'm jumping ahead a little bit, just minutes ago, before I went on the air, Jerry Nadler and Pencil Neck Schiff and Pelosi and with a face that only a relative could like, Maxine Waters, they were all standing at the podium and introduced the articles of impeachment. As my German grandmother used to say, ay, 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 ay. Absolutely insane. And I dare anybody out in the audience, and I mean this, to call this program and give me point by point the high crimes or misdemeanors that President Trump has supposedly committed. Or talk about how he, Trump, has specifically obstructed Congress. And how he is a threat to America and our Constitution. Now, lay it out for me. Go ahead. I'll be polite and listen up to a point, because I don't think anybody can do it. I haven't heard anybody yet do it. And I don't blame members of the GOP yesterday, especially Florida Matt Gaetz, sitting at the end of the dais. And finally, the old top of the tea kettle blew off. Hold on, caller. And he lost his cool. And he just basically ignored little Jerry Nadler, the general of those Democratic proceedings. And Jerry was beating on the gavel saying, "You're out of order, you're out of order, you're not recognized, you're not recognized." And Gaetz went right on ahead and told him what kind of an absolutely ridiculous circus it was. Caller, good morning, you're on the air.
Yeah, the only crime I can see that Trump committed was he won the election.
But now here's my worry, and I'm so glad you called, because I want your opinion on this. With your circle of friends and people that you visit with, or people that you know, family members, etc., how much damage has this insidious clown theater created by the Democrats to hurt Trump for re-election, how much has it damaged Trump in their eyes?
Oh, they think he's just a whoop puppy, but it ain't done anything to him. He's way stronger than that.
Well, I'm asking about your relatives and friends. Have they changed their mind about voting for Donald Trump?
No, because they voted for him in the first place, and I don't think I could get them to change their mind to not vote for him.
Have you seen or heard anything in following this or reading about it or whatever, anything that amounts to impeaching this president?
No, I don't. And, they were, I heard him, we had Fox News on, and he was saying, yeah, and because he obstructed justice, because he didn't let anybody come because we subpoenaed him. And I'm thinking, do you guys remember somebody called Hillary? Isn't it amazing they can't remember?
The Democrats have really got a short memory, or any memory at all. And I'm just fed up with this. As a taxpayer and a person that wants better things for my grandkids in the future, this is complete lunacy, and it's got to stop.
Exactly. I hope that there's a lot of really quiet Trump voters come this election, and there's no doubt that he won fair, square, and in the middle.
Absolutely. By the way, may I extend to you and your family a very Merry Christmas. Thank you for calling in.
Merry Christmas to you and your wife and your family, and God bless America, and God bless you.
Oh, thank you. You're a very nice lady. Appreciate that. I'll take the next call in just a moment. Caller, stand by. I want to remind everybody about Denny's Restaurant at 611 North Overland in Burley. Oh, next Thursday, the 19th is the big day for our Denny's Old-Fashioned Christmas Party. We're going to be over there broadcasting live and direct from 8 to 11. We've got Santa Claus coming down from the North Pole. And, of course, we've got a great Christmas carol singer. Ashley Ludlow's going to be there. Great food, prizes. Woo-hoo! 611 North Overland in Burley, Denny's Restaurant. America's Diner. You can stop in anytime, all the time. Breakfast, lunch, or dinner. You're going to love it. Denny's Restaurant in Burley. Really good people. One more good word, caller, and I'll be coming right to you. I want to remind everybody about our dear friend Rick, and he's over at Mountain Transmissions. And if you've noticed that maybe when you're ready to go someplace and you put the car in drive and it starts to back up, scratch your chin, you got a little bit of a transmission problem. Well, for free estimates and free diagnosis, get a hold of Rick at Mountain Transmissions, 678-9110. They're located at 504 East Main Street in Burley. Merry Christmas. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. Yeah, this has been a three-ring circus as far as this impeachment's concerned. It's just maddening. I listened to the Nadler this morning say what the obstruction of justice and obstruction of Congress. They got there's nothing. There's no crime. And then again, they come on and put Schiff on there and says, well, he violated this and he did that and all. It was all a pack of lies. I just kept track. There wasn't a sentence that Schiff said that wasn't a lie.
Well, listen, wait a minute. Let me ask you a question. You're a sharp guy. You're a doctor of your field in agronomy. And I want to ask you this. When you hear the word obstruction, give me a quick answer to this, Adrian. What does the word obstruction mean to you?
Well, that means interference.
Uh-huh.
It means interference with, you're getting in the road of something.
Right.
And so, yeah, but there should be no interference. Read the transcript.
Absolutely. That is the key to the whole conversation. You just alluded to it. Read the transcript. And you don't have to be a rocket scientist with a degree in how to send a rocket to Mars or whatever to understand. I don't see any bribery. I've read it 100 times. I don't see any obstruction. And the word obstruction meaning to block the way or create a hazard or a havoc so something can't get done, that never happened. Congress was never obstructed from doing anything. As a matter of fact, Adam Schiff and the rest of his cronies have opened the door for a Pandora's box of problems they created themselves, not caused by anybody else.
Well, yeah, I can't imagine in the eyes of the world, we must look like a bunch of buffoons.
Yeah.
I mean, you think about it. I mean, it's just the whole thing is a three-ring circus. There's not a word of truth. Remember the parody Schiff started out with?
Yeah.
He took the narrative, the transcript, and just made his own story up about it.
Yeah.
And this is the whole problem with this thing, Zeb. And I tell you, I think most people are so fed up with this nonsense. It's just unbelievable. But Doug Collins, Devin Nunes, and others on those committees for the Republicans have just laid it out there that you guys are just absolutely, doing a country of misjudges. It's just unbelievable that they've carried this thing, but their hatred of Trump is so intense.
Yeah.
Now they're going to push this thing forward, Zeb, and I think it's just going to, the whole thing's blown up in their face, but now they've made a commitment, I guess, that they got to go ahead and do it.
Well, they're like the little Dutch boy that put his thumb in the dike, and all of a sudden the hole started getting bigger, and the Dutch boy's got both fists and his 2 feet inside that hole right now, and the water's getting deeper. Hey, Adrian, I've got to run, but I always appreciate your call. Thank you, and Merry Christmas to you.
And have a Merry Christmas, Zeb, and we'll talk to you again.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Have a great day. Thanks.
Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Don't forget our friends and your friends at Dino Septic Service. Oh, yes, sir. Up front, they do the job that you and I don't want to do. No, you don't want to be out there pumping a septic tank. No. And all the sewer and sink drain lines are clogged up. They take care of all that. Backhoe service, septic tanks and drain fields installed, liquid waste removal. They're there to serve you. Fast, fair, friendly service. Good people. 436-6526 or 678-1638. Dino Septic Service. I'm so happy to have them on the program because they do a job we don't want to do, and they do it very, very well. Dino Septic Service with the big truck smells cargo on the way. Also, our thanks go out to Dr. Bill and all the folks over at Ark Animal Hospital. And one thing that absolutely Dr. Bill let Deanne know yesterday, and I think it's so smart, keep ornaments and tinsel from your Christmas tree or your house. Maybe you've got ornaments laying around other places, away from your pets. They like to chew on things, and that's not going to have a good net result. So please keep all that Christmas stuff away from the pets, like the tinsel. Oh, my goodness, that could really be devastating. So take care of your animals, and if you have a problem, call Ark Animal Hospital at 750 21st Street near Connection Credit Union in Hayburn. Number 678-1177. And they do, at Ark Animal Hospital, have warm hearts for cold noses. Really, really good people. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. A lot of you probably did not get... Wheels, all of a sudden I hear something on the line. Are we getting a bunch of static from someplace?
No, everything sounds clear on my end.
Why am I the only one that's gifted by hearing it? It's still
Maybe
going.
We'll have to check out on the break.
All right, sir. Hey, listen, before I get into the next part of what was so stupid in D.C. yesterday, I want to remind you Merry Christmas wishes from Butte Irrigation at 116 South, 600 West of Paul. And they've got another location right there north of Kimberly by Red Cap Corner. Can't miss them. Butte Irrigation, as they always say, they will get you wet. They are absolutely the pros in irrigation. Give them a call, and they wish you and yours a very Merry Christmas. Along with Golden Valley Warehouse, 1000 South, 468 West of Burley, the Adams family, nice people. And they provide quality seed, barley and wheat, triticale, oats, alfalfa, you name it, they've got it for you. Great staff, Golden Valley Warehouse, Merry, Merry Christmas. And Vicky's Country Garden. Hello, Miss Vicky, at 185 South, 600 West of Paul. And she says, hey, don't forget, I've got a great Christmas gift-giving idea. Gift certificates. Oh, my goodness, call her. Set up a time to go out to the store, 431-5667 to Vicky's Country Gardens. And they all wish you a great, big, happy, and Merry Christmas. There you go. This absolutely has taken over the airwaves. This incompetency by the Democrats has just, it's kind of like a cancerous growth. It's just on television. It's all over. It's impeachment. It's all negativity against President Trump, his family, and the administration, and anybody that works for it. But you know what it is? It's all theater. I know there was some of you out there that probably were coming up with another word, but I agree with that word too. But it's all theater. And it's nothing more than a put-together soap opera by the Democrats. And the reason it was a put-together soap opera, you don't, again, have to be a college graduate in rocket science. They wanted to lay out in front of the public with as much display as they could an anti-Trump feeling. Oh, yeah. Why? We've got to just make sure that this guy's reelection is put down in the gutter. We got to stomp on him like he's a bad, evil snake. They did their best. But, here is the caveat that you can check yourself this morning. In Democratic blue states that are turning purple more so all the time, like Wisconsin and Michigan and Pennsylvania, Trump and his poll numbers are going woof, up, and away. Way over the likes of Warren and Joe and Bernie and others. So, maybe the Democrats, like we said quite some time ago on this program, have drawn both pistols out of their holsters and shot themselves in the foot. There's that static again coming up, Wheels. I wonder if maybe we shouldn't have another line. What do you think, buddy?
I'm okay with that. We can play a bumper for you if you want.
I'll tell you what, we'll ride it through this hour, and then at the 9 o'clock break, I'll give you a call. I'm really getting some static, and I don't know. It's probably the phone line, I'm sure. Caller, I'll take that call in just a minute. Stand by. Don't forget Berry Equipment and Rental. And, of course, they're located at 159 West Highway 30 in Burley, 465 Addison Avenue West in Twin, and the Nampa location. And I really stress that if you've got jobs to do like lifting and digging and pushing and carrying and leveling and laying sod and grading, they got the big dudes to get the job done. The Doosan wheel loaders and excavators, and they got all the Bobcats. They've got great leasing programs, great purchasing programs, finance programs, all for you to get the job done. Don't forget Berry Equipment and Rental. Good people, too, and they'll teach you how to run the equipment. 159 West Highway 30 in Burley, 465 Addison Avenue West in Twin, and Nampa, Berry Equipment and Rental. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, sir.
My friend.
Yeah, I've heard people talk and other things, and the conclusion that I'm coming to is that the Democrats are wanting to impeach President Trump in the House. The Senate, they know it's going nowhere in the Senate.
Yep.
They know he won't be removed.
Yep.
They know this. So then the 2020 election will be re-election of an impeached president, so it will be like the last one. He is an imposter. He's not the real president because he's been impeached.
Well, let's just look at it this way. The Democrats are going to try to stack the deck. I mean, they're like a riverboat gambler that makes a living by cheating. And that's what they're doing right now. They're going to stack the deck any way they can. And you got to hand it to them somewhat, is that all their devious and very evil ploys are, we don't even know what they're going to do yet. I mean, they've still got a lot of cards they're holding. But I think this is all going to come back to bite the Democrats. I really firmly believe. Do you remember Dr. Gerard Lamero that was on my program many, many times, Doug? Remember him?
Vaguely.
Well, the poor man, and I mean that, he's been really suffering some health conditions, and I pray, and I mean this, that he'll start to get better so he can come back on our program. He's writing another book, and health conditions really slowed him up. But way back in the spring, back in March, he made a prediction, and it's coming true, that the Democrats would go way out on a limb trying to get Trump thrown out of office with impeachment prior to the election, but they would fail, and it would end up a fracturing, destruction of the Democratic Party.
Well, it is. They're shooting themselves in the foot. And Nancy Pelosi has been around long enough. I mean, she's a lot longer on this earth than you and I together almost. She's been around long enough to know that this is going to come back and bite.
Did you happen to see the gathering of the circus clowns by the podium this morning of the Democratic Party when they announced the articles of impeachment? Did you see those people? Did you see Adam Schiff stand there like he was a relaxed Jimmy Swaggart and look across the way, and there stood Nancy Pelosi with her eyes down and her hands folded in what looked like a false prayer. And then standing in the background behind Jerry Nadler, little Jerry, was a face, like I said earlier, only a relative could have any fondness for, the one, the only Maxine Waters.
I agree with you there. And then that gal next to her is the same way.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, but they're doing something that they think would take out any other politician, and it would have taken out any other politician before now.
Yeah.
What they've done to President Trump, had any other politician been in there, would have thrown in the towel and said, this ain't worth it. And I thank God every night that we have President Trump in there willing to stand up and fight for the American people to bring justice and drain the swamp.
You know, I'm going to say this, and you probably are a jump ahead of me on this one because you follow the news extensively, but I'm just going to say she is still out there, hovering like a hawk for a mouse. And I'm talking about Hillary. I still think that Grandma Hillary is going to get in the pool wearing her bikini and scare everybody else out of the water.
You know, I'm going to make a prediction that And I think you're right. She's out there she's got her toe in the swimming pool right now.
Oh, yeah.
She's feeling to see what it's like.
Yeah.
But I've got a prediction that A.G. Barr and Mr. Durham have her in their sights for all the wrongdoing.
I agree with you to an extent, but I'll tell you, time is not in favor of preventing her or becoming an obstacle for her. And the reason I say that is most people estimate that the Durham report probably will not be coming out until next summer, which gives Hillary adequate time to throw her hat, if you will, into the Democratic pool and try to get in.
Exactly. But running for president doesn't make you immune to happen to follow the law.
Oh, my, no. Yeah.
And it did last time because of the deep state. And President Trump is exposing how the career bureaucrats that work back there that run these offices and stuff that are not elected, how they've been running the government for years. And how the Democrats and Republicans, that's why they won't investigate each other, because the Republicans are afraid of what will come out of their closet.
Hillary Clinton, to sum up, folks, and this is coming straight from old Zeb, if you don't like it, that's the way it is. She's evil, she's jealous, and she's power hungry. And above all, Hillary, even today, is dangerous.
She is. And I thank God that I'm not in her shoes when I pass away and have to stand in front of God and atone for all of my sins.
Well, none of us are of the capability or the ability of judging, and that's only up to the good Lord and Jesus. But I'm telling you what, I wouldn't want to follow her in line.
No. No, I wouldn't either.
Okay, buddy.
Hey, everybody, it's December, it's Christmas season, it's the birth of our Savior that we're going to be celebrating. We need to step up and help the seniors, the people that built this country that we enjoy. The sweat off their back has built this country for what it is, and we need to stand up and protect it, and we also need to take care of them.
Amen. Very well stated, my dear friend, and thank you for your call, Doug. God bless you. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Hey, right now I want to remind everybody about Anderson Farms and Jones Commodity. And Lonnie, our good friend, said they want to wish you a very Merry Christmas and a terrific New Year. And drive carefully out there. Oh, by the way, if you're looking for an employment change going into the new year 2020, don't hesitate to call Anderson Farms and Jones Commodity. They are looking for good people. Number to call, 878-2816 or 878-2820. Anderson Farms and Jones Commodity wishing you a very Merry Christmas. And we're going to be going Christmas shopping today after the program. I know I hate to go Christmas shopping, but we got to get it done. But I'll tell you what, there's one store I love going to. Yeah, I'm kind of spoiled on this store, and that's Sportsman's Warehouse. Make it a Sportsman's Christmas. Oh my. They've got a Camp Chef Sportsman Series pellet grill for just now $449.99. You can save over $150. Woo-hoo! Better get in there and check that out. And they've got a Browning Special Edition gun safe. It was regularly $949, now it's $799. You better get in and check out some of the great buys for Christmas gift giving at Sportsman's Warehouse. Reese and the whole crew serving you at 1940 Bridgeview Boulevard in Twin Falls. That's right, Sportsman's Warehouse. Make it a sportsman's Christmas. There you go. Calls are welcome. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I just think, and I know a lot of you are going, she's not going to run. She's just going to make a little wave, a little ripple in the water, and then she's going to back up. I don't know. I honestly think of all the Democrats that are still with their boat docked to the pier of possible nomination, None of them, including Biden. There's nobody that's going to take the Democratic Party and go anywhere with it. No, none of them. They're not capable. They're not smart enough, and they're certainly not politically savvy. None of them. None of them. Caller, I'll be right there. Thank you for your call. I want to remind everybody about our friends at Quality's Electronics. They're having a big Christmas sale before Christmas. Absolutely. Sale prices on their great selection of TVs. Have you been into Quality's? I mean, they got I don't know how many TVs going at the same time, and you can stand there and look at all the different screens and the sizes of the screens and everything. And they're having sound bars and audio equipment on sale. Whoa. You better get in there today. And by the way, mention my name, and you get an extra 10% off on TV bases and wall mounts. Absolutely the best of hometown service and support at Quality's Electronics, 1730 Kimberly Road in Twin Falls. They're wishing you and yours a very Merry Christmas. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah, Zeb, I'm tired of this big sham that's been going on, and I don't know what's going to happen. Even if they impeach Trump, I hope he wins next time by the biggest landslide in history.
I am in total agreement with you, but now let me ask you a couple of questions after your statement. I'm sick of it, and when you started to say I'm sick of this big sham, I got really worried. You made me break out in a cold sweat there for a minute. But I got to tell you, I totally agree with you, but I'm going to ask you the same question I asked that lady a little bit ago. For the people that you know, your family members and the people you associate with and talk to, have they developed an opinion where they might not vote for Trump?
Actually, I've got a daughter and son-in-law down in Vegas, and they're Democrats, but I think they're going to even vote for him. I mean, everybody can see that's a joke.
Yeah.
I even think they're going to vote for him this next time, even if he gets impeached.
Well, I had to go along with what you said about your in-laws. I had a good friend of mine over in Oregon call me the other day, and he has always voted Democrat up to the last election when he switched and went for Donald Trump. And I said, are you going to vote for Trump again this next year, 2020, even with all the balderdash? I changed the word there. Even with all the balderdash that's been said and done to him over the last couple of months. And he said, more so than the last time, because it's nothing more than a circus of lies. Those are his words.
Yep. Thank you.
Hey, God bless you. And by the way, don't forget, Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas to you, Zeb.
Thank you very much. I honestly think, and I haven't had a chance to poll a lot of people around the country, I'm going to save that until after the first of the year. For obvious reasons. I just don't have a lot of time on the program right now, and I think what we're going to try after the first of the year, we're going to try and call some people, whether it's in Florida, or whether it's in Wisconsin, or whether it's in Texas, and we're going to kind of call them on the air and just ask them point blank blunt what their feelings are about the 2020 election and re-election for Donald Trump. That way I have no idea if they're Democrat or Republican, and we'll just see what they've got to say. We're going to try to do that after the first of the year. Want to remind you, some really, really nice people that are wishing you a very Merry Christmas include Rogge Auctions over in Declo. Boy, they put on a good sale. They really care. Rogge Auctions. Snake River Auto Body Repair in Twin. I know these people, and boy, they're dedicated to serving you. Merry Christmas. Baker Brothers Pump Service, when you have a problem, I'm telling you what, they're there, Johnny on the spot. They really do a good job. Baker Brothers, Dixon Oil Company over in Rupert, hello. They are always committed to helping community events. And, of course, Redder's Showcase. Boy, you can't miss up all the great buys at Redder's Showcase in Burley. Wishing you and yours a very Merry Christmas. Time for the weather, and then we're going to take some more calls. And our weather is being brought to you by our friends at Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. And have you got a loved one that when you're talking to them, they go, huh? What? What'd you say? Are you talking to me? Well, that's kind of the general conversation between Deanne and I every night. But anyhow, moving forward, if you have a relative or a loved one that needs to hear better this holiday season of Christmas and New Year's, etc., why don't you have them get a hold of Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids? Absolutely. The number to call, of course, 312-0957. 312-0957. Schedule an appointment to have your hearing checked. These people are thorough. These people are good at Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Right now, here's Scotty with the weather.
Well, looks like we're going to have a little bit of snow in our forecast. Good morning with your Zeb at the Ranch weather forecast. I'm Scotty Cameron. Expecting some fog this morning, and then hopefully that's going to burn off and be mostly sunny today with a high of 39. The clouds will start increasing tonight with a low of 23. About a 20% chance of snow, then mostly cloudy for tomorrow, a high of 40. Tomorrow night, mostly cloudy, a low of 27. Now, Thursday's when things start to get interesting, about a 70% chance of snow and rain, a high of 43. Friday, also about a 50% chance of rain and snow and a high of 41. That's your Zeb at the Ranch weather forecast. I'm Scotty Cameron. Have a great day.
Scotty, Scottman, thank you very much for being a part of the program this morning with our weather forecast. And don't forget, brought to you by Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, right behind the Minidoka Hospital, across from the emergency room. They're waiting to serve you. Number to call, 312-0957. Please call them today. Really good people. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. At the Burley Senior Center today, we're having beef stroganoff, assorted vegetables, and assorted pies. And don't forget on the 12th is a prime rib dinner at the Senior Center. You have to get advance tickets. They're $15 for a single and $25 for a couple.
Joe, I got to ask you a question. You said assorted vegetables. Okay. Now, Joe Taylor, what is your least favorite veggie?
Potatoes.
You don't like potatoes?
Potatoes is my favorite.
Oh, I said your least favorite.
Oh, I don't know. I'm pretty flexible.
Okay. Joe, God bless you, man. We'll send everybody over to the Senior Center. Great food, great people. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. I was going to say potatoes. He misunderstood. I know Joe loves potatoes. I've watched him eat. I've watched him in action. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I have a complaint. Gee, imagine that. Against our local... I hesitate to use the word newspaper. They're not putting anything in the sports section at all about the great big multi-million-dollar National Finals rodeo down in Vegas. Nothing. And if somebody's seen something in there as to results, I will be the first to apologize. But with a very limited... very poorly put together sports page, there's nothing in there. And what gripes me and many others, my wife and I were talking about this yesterday, many of the contestants that are now in the Professional Rodeo Cowboys Association competing at the NFR in Las Vegas for world titles and big money were former contestants for the College of Southern Idaho. And they're at or near the top of the world standings, and they're not getting any press at all in the Times News. And really, it's available. The many times that I've announced the National Finals Rodeo, they have a press room second to none with all the stats, all the standings, all the money earned, everything available at just the snap of a finger. And the Times News has just again let everyone down with not any coverage of a big economic event. Multi-million dollars are to be won and earned down in Las Vegas. To win a go-round, it pays over $26,000 for first place in the go-rounds. And another story that we're going to highlight a little bit tomorrow, the World Series of Team Roping is going on down in Las Vegas right now with multiple people from around this area down there as contestants. And winning first in some of the different categories is going to pay over $250,000. Nothing in the Times News. They're too busy, I think. I think that they're way too busy. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call. I heard this yesterday, and I got to share this with you real quick. This is Christmas time, and everybody's hurrying and scurrying and going, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, and they're putting up their decorations, and they're putting up their nativity scenes. I hope we see more nativity scenes this year than ever before, and they're putting up their Santa Clauses and their snowmen and everything. But the gender-neutral kooks in the world, now I'm not making this up, the gender-neutral kooks are now condemning anyone, me, you, or whomever, that refers to Santa Claus as a he. Oh, you can't do that. That's wrong. We can't tolerate that. It's got to be gender-neutral. You can't say Santa Claus is a he. And I got to thinking about this earlier this morning. And I thought, this is going to come as a huge shock to Mrs. Claus. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
And imagine what it'll do to the elves.
There's trouble in River City.
Hey, I have a question for you.
Uh-oh.
If the Democrats want this gender neutral, there's fighting for gender neutrality.
Yeah.
Why do they always protest for women's rights?
That's a good point. And Wheels, we got a little feedback here on the line. That's a good point. They're really kind of ambiguous in the way they approach various and sundry articles of information, and they don't do their homework, which is nothing new for the Democrats. But it's the same. Okay, I'll go one step further. You're asking that question, then let me ask you a question. Why, if they're going to listen to the imbecilic ideas from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and others about all private transportation should be stopped and we should not have any more private cars because we've got to stop everything moving along the roadways because of the fact it's pollutants and they're creating global warming, why do we want to have over $20-some billion for infrastructure repair?
Exactly. The Democrats back there in Washington, D.C., and some Republicans are lumped right in with them, too. They are like a toddler when they see something. They do not think it through to the end.
No.
They an impulse.
Well, I'm not going to ever, and, they're going to come out with this, it's hate speech. Watch. If the Democrats ascertain any more power, they're going to come out and say that, why, you're on the radio, you can't say anything that's regarding as hate speech against the gender neutral or the many, many genders, or we've got to stop all the pronouns, he and she, and all that kind of stuff. I'm not going to change, Doug. They're going to drill me off the air and take me out of here before I'm ever going to change and adhere to their unbiologic common lack of sense.
Yeah, and my deal is, how do you take away the First Amendment?
Well, they did it in other countries. Look what Hitler did.
Yeah, political correctness.
Yep.
You can't say that. Well, wait a minute, it's the First Amendment. No, you can't say that.
Well, I'm going to continue to say that this gender idiocy, which it is, transgenderism or gender neutral, all the kids out there waiting for Santa Claus to fly over, now they're going to wonder, well, now, is he or she or it, or is it a giraffe or is it a raccoon? This is idiocy.
It is. It really is. And I've heard a lot of people say that this liberalism is a mental disorder.
It is.
It is.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, and I will not back up from that. I appreciate your comment. Doug, God bless. Merry Christmas.
God bless.
Thank you. Don't forget our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations with a lot of common sense and a lot of help and a lot of service to you. For whatever the weather puts on the roadways, they've got the tires with the different tread designs, all the sizes to get you through safely. Absolutely. Along with all the tire chains, too. Don't forget that. And the best in brake service and front-end alignment, shocks and struts and batteries. Temperatures are going to get down. I'm going to cough. I did. Down a little cooler, and you need to have a good battery. Well, they've got the best at all 7 locations. Lane in Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike in Buell, Mike in Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Trent on Overland in Burley. You better believe it, the best, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. What do we got cooking for the rest of the morning? Why, we've got Dan Kish, and then at 9:30, we're going to have a redo of yesterday's program. We kind of didn't get a chance to finish everything with Frosty. He's going to come back on, and a whole bunch more. Don't miss it. Zeb at the Ranch. I'll be back in about 7 minutes. I think that's great. Sugar Beat. As New Year's comes on in, Scotty Cameron, I think, is going to be the MC for that. Congratulations, Scotty. Good job. Hey, Zeb at the Ranch, of course, brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you with the best of tires to get you through whatever the weather's going to throw at you. And don't forget, also Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you, along with our friends at Greystone Crossing Senior Living at 1221 21st Street in Hayburn. Seniors living the good life with friends. Right now, Wheels with this good word for Western Waste.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're all at the Georgia struggle. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this free land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at Georgia struggle. Western Waste Services.
Oh my goodness, you've been cleaning out the garage. Well, you've been stacking stuff in another location that has to be thrown away, or you've been cleaning out the basement, or like in my case, oh, Lord help us, if I had to clean out this office, I don't know what we'd do. I don't think there's enough dumpsters to handle everything. Oh, you need a dumpster? Well, they've got dumpsters in various sizes at Western Waste Services. Call them. They'll drop it off. You fill it up. They'll come and get it. Always at your disposal. Western Waste Services. Call them at 734-6969. Absolutely. Want to remind you again about our friends at Quality's Electronics. They've got a great big Christmas sale going on. Hello, Bruce and the crew over there at Quality's Electronics. And you know what? You can get a $100 gift card if you become a new member with Dish Network. I'm not kidding. Hey, and low prices on a great selection of what they call the MedLift lift recliners. Have you checked those out? They're right there at Quality's Electronics for their big Christmas sale. Hometown service and support, great family. The Qualities at 1730 Kimberly Road in Twin Falls. Quality's Electronics. Merry Christmas sale. We also want to acknowledge quickly before we go to our guest, I talked to this gentleman yesterday briefly, and that's, of course, our dear friend Joel Heward at Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert. Number to call, 436-5636. Joel, his family, and his staff, they want to extend to you and your family the merriest of Christmas wishes and a Happy New Year. They really care. They get really wrapped up with a lot of community events and everything, but primarily they care about you. So please remember Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert, 436-5636. And they always uphold the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity, working with you and your family. And Joel Heward also serving you at Morrison Payne Funeral Home on East Main in Burley. Really, really good folks. One last word before Dan Kish gets all upset and wants to run the horse out of the barn. I want to remind you about Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley with Nick Greenwell and all the physical therapists. I was in there yesterday afternoon. Woo! Had a great big session, and that place was packed with people that are trying to feel better and stop the aching and paining. Well, they're located at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, and I urge you to call the number 678-1191 and let them help you get back to being you, especially through the Christmas holidays. Absolutely. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. You call the number 678-1191. Right now, let's go to the phone line, and a man that I have the utmost respect for, because if anything comes up about energy, he knows. With the American Energy Alliance, Dan Kish. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, Zeb. I'm great, and I hope you are too, sir.
Doing 100, and I got a bunch of things I'd like to ask you about this morning, but when you travel around with the American Energy Alliance, do you get a chance, I think I've asked you this one other time, do you get a chance to get up and make speeches at various meetings or to various groups and really get a chance to tell them the truth about what's going on with energy?
Yeah, we occasionally get a chance to do that, Zeb. A lot of this stuff is online nowadays, so it people do that, but there's still people having conferences. In fact, a couple of our folks just got back from out west yesterday. They'd been out in Arizona, I think, trying to spread the word about how the energy picture we've got right now is great and getting better if the politicians don't screw it up.
You know, right there, you just touched on what I wanted to talk about this morning. And you're going to have to help educate me on this, Dan. You're a sharp guy. Why in the world, after 250 years of a nation growing and going through all the problems of trying to make this nation bigger and better and more meaningful for all of its citizens and creating an aura of families, if they want to put forth the effort, they can go out and achieve, and they can achieve the American dream, and their kids can go on and be successful. Why do we want to look at the possibility, a very strong possibility, this next election season, to regress to where we're almost going back over 150 years in regression with a policy of no energy? It makes no sense to me.
Yeah, Zeb, I mean, that's basically what it is. I mean, the folks pushing for that say it's to save the world, save the climate, save the whatever. But in reality, it's really about giving them more control. That's what it always has been. I mean, since the first time, I think, man hit the earth, there was always somebody who wanted to control the next person over. They had some great desire. Now, that isn't universal. Plenty of people are happy to be left alone. In fact, I'll bet you know a lot of them. They just want to be left alone and not bothered by this sort of stuff. But you have these Budinskis in there who want to tell people how to live, what kind of car to drive, what kind of heat to use. You can't use this, you can't use that. Meanwhile, somehow all the power devolves to them, and ultimately they and their friends get rich on it.
Yeah.
So it's power and money,
same old stuff that always does it. Using any excuse they can, they'll drag a 16-year-old girl out of Sweden and haul her across the Atlantic to point her finger at people and wag her tongue at, gee, terrible that you people are living like that. That's basically what's going on. But that's why people have to remain vigilant if they want to protect their families and the right to make those choices for themselves about how they live their lives and how they want their families to live.
Yeah, but Dan, therein lies the problem. And you and I have talked about this either on private conversations or on the air in the past. What happened to the American spirit of standing up on your 2 feet and saying, no, wait a minute, this isn't right, and I'm going to fight. I'm going to create an aura of getting more people to stand behind me, and we're going to fight, and we're going to stop this absolute idiocy. But today, I honestly think that the factions that are trying to take away energy and make us live a regressive lifestyle, they know the American public won't stand up and fight them.
Well, I think they hope. Ultimately, Americans are kind of slow to anger, but when they get their dander up, have been known to, it's like awakening a sleeping giant. And occasionally that happens. But in the meantime, the politicians and the media people who support them getting more power try to tell this story, try to get it out there that all is lost unless you hand over your rights and your freedoms and your liberties to folks. I think it resonates in the back of people's minds, but as long as it isn't bothering them right that instant, they don't get upset about it. They get upset when it begins to show up at the gas pump, or their heating bills go up, or their lights go off, or something like that, or their businesses are suffering because all of a sudden their energy costs have gone through the roof. And make no mistake about it, that's what these people want to do. One of the best ways to control people's behavior is to cut off their energy.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I'm an old man. I'm an old graybeard right now. And I know this sounds coarse, but that's the way I am. I'm not going to have anybody dictate to me about turning my thermostat down to 67 or 68, my old bones as many times as they've been broken, and my limbs as many times as they've been operated on. I love warmer temperatures in the wintertime, and I'm not going to have some buffoon on the left tell me I've got to sit there and shiver.
Well, yes, these are the people who tell you also. They say, oh, well, we need to get rid of individual cars, we need more mass transit. You say, are you kidding me? Do you know anything other than the urban areas, the cities? How are you going to have buses running all over God's green earth out in real America, picking people up and dropping them off and taking them, they got to pick up dry cleaning, they got to get groceries, they got to take the pet to the vet. They got to do this. They got to do that. They got to go to the doctor. How are you going to do that with a bus driver? It's nuts. Now, maybe you could do that in a city where people everything's jammed in together and they all walk, and it smells like it, to be honest with you. And everything's jammed in together, and they don't mind being pushed and shoved and all the rest of it. But you sure aren't going to do that with the vast majority of the country that makes up the United States.
Yeah, but I think you've touched on something that needs to be elaborated on, my dear friend. That, I think, is the mantra that they're not expressing, because they being the left, these loons, they want people to be forced out of rural areas and converge upon the communes of big cities so they have massive control. That's my honest appraisal.
Oh, I agree with you, Zeb. I've watched that for years, and if you look at the demographics, how people vote, if you look at the last presidential election, it's red except for a few blue spots.
Yep.
Even in states like California, it's just a few blue spots. Most of the state is red based on counties, And that's how people are. They want to jam people. What happens when people get jammed into the city is they give up their rights to do things on their own. They give up the convenience of things because, there's no place to put your car. So they're willingly taking the subway or taking the bus, or maybe because it makes sense, because there's so many of them jammed in there like sardines. But when it comes to actually understanding anything about what makes the world go around, and all of that stuff is transported into those cities. Without the stuff that's produced out in the red parts of America, this country would starve to death.
Well,
People would die in the urban areas.
There's no question about that.
Energy. They wouldn't have any water. They wouldn't have any food or fiber. It's just that simple. They may live there and they may think they're smart, and they may think that they're smart because they spend $6 on a cup of coffee, but they're not. The people that actually understand how to make things, produce things, and get them to people so that they can sustain their lives live out in that red part of America.
Yeah, but it goes without saying that that is, and I'm not being a conspiracy theorist or anything else. We're just telling the straight truth. There are people in this world that George Soros's type of person that want more control over the people, the masses, and they go to work, they go home, they stay at home, they go to work, they go home, they stay at home. That's control over the masses, and the rich get much, much richer and in power, and the poor turn into just little ants that feed the populace of the rich. And that's my whole point this morning. We have got to have an uprising in this country to tell them, no, we believe in capitalism. No, we believe in free enterprise. No, we're not going to take this 67 or 66 degrees regulated by the government. We're going to have energy from all sources, not just the silly, absolutely nonsensical solar or wind. We've got to stand up.
Well, yeah, Zeb, I mean, does anybody tell you can't buy a certain amount of food other than your wife and mine? The fact of the matter is they're telling us we can only have a certain amount of energy. They're telling us that we can only use so much. They're telling us that well, what about water? What about food? I mean, whose business is it how much we purchase, as long as we earn the money with good, honest, God-fearing labor? And you're right about it. I mean, what happens when people move to cities, and it's something to be guarded against, when people move to cities, their politics change. Mm-hmm. They get used to saying yes, sir, standing in line, waiting for everything, but being close enough to be able to get it. And so they put up with a lot more interventions in their lives. And you lose that individual American spirit that built this great country when you just jam everybody like sardines into the can of the urban environment.
Yeah, and there's another thing that I'm really upset about. And again, I don't care whose toes I step on. If they're on the dance floor, they're fair game. And that goes without saying. I'm against the United Nations. I'm against all those big-mouth, know-nothings, leaders of other countries, including the UN Attorney General, that are in condemnation of the way we live in this country and furthering the little teenage girl Greta Thunberg so that she can become a poster girl for everybody living in a cave and burning buffalo dung. I'm fed up with this.
Well, I'll tell you, Zeb, if the UN really cared about its people, the people of the world, instead of living like kings in New York City, they'd put their headquarters someplace out in Africa or something like that, where the people would have to live among people who are trying to get by, and they'd be trying to figure out how to make energy cheaper for those people, because right now it's not a matter of money. They don't have it. They send the daughters, instead of sending them to school, they send them out to pick sticks up to heat the that night's dinner, and they don't get to go to school. You give them cheap energy, they're off to the races.
Absolutely. Dan, we've got a caller with a comment. Caller, go ahead quickly. You're on the air. Thank you. Uh-oh, they're backing up. I guess they're off the air. One other thing I wanted to ask you about, Dan, is how do we, and I know this sounds like a simplistic question, but how do we go about educating the American public, your neighbors, my neighbors, your family, my family, and family members? Hey, we've got to stand up before it's too late. Look at what's going on in the schools where people that are involved in agriculture are portrayed as evil people, and we've got to change this whole schematic of how these kids are being taught, because by the time they get to college and universities, wow, they're out there in the streets with their tin cup condemning and damning everybody else.
Yeah, you're right, Zeb. Well, to be honest with you, I think there are times when this does change. I mean, I remember when there was a bit of a cultural revolution under Ronald Reagan. He brought some common sense back to government. He said, you know, the government causes as many problems as it solves, and we ought to look for more of that inside ourselves. I think President Trump has a lot of that himself in it. I mean, I heard him giving a press conference on Friday talking about how he's going to tell the EPA to go back and tell folks, he's telling them to go back and look at their regulations on these faucets and showers and toilets and everything else, because in some places where it's dry, it might make sense, but in places where there's plenty of water, it doesn't make any sense at all. You can't get any water out. And I know I put in these new faucets because I have to, because that's all they sell, and you barely get a trickle out of them.
That's right.
So you stand there twice as long, or 3 times as long, or 4 times as long, trying to get your hands wet. And so he's saying, well, let's get the government out of that if we can. If they want to buy that kind of faucet, they can buy it, but why should we make everybody buy that kind of faucet?
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
These sorts of things, talking about the values of American rural life, farming. He's always talking about farmers, and they just got the USMCA. Apparently the House is going to pass it today, so that's a big victory and should help ag. And to the extent that it does, those things help, because it talks about those Norman Rockwell values that built this country.
Absolutely. You know, we run out of time way too fast, and I just want to say to you how much I appreciate everything you do. Dan Kish with the American Energy Alliance. He's been a friend of this program for a long, long time, and Dan will look forward to next week of having you on, and then we're going to take a little bit of a recess for the Christmas holidays, but God bless you, man, and thank you so much for what you do.
God bless you right back, Zeb.
All right, my friend. Take care. Thank you very, very much. Dan Kish with the American Energy Alliance. Thank you. Hey, I want to remind you about our friends, and they are our friends, at Anderson Farms and Jones Commodities. They want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a terrific Happy New Year, and urge you to drive safely when you're out there on the highways and byways. And by the way, if you're looking for a change of employment going into 2020, why don't you check with them? They're looking for some really good people at Anderson Farms and Jones Commodity. Number to call, 878-2816 or 878-2820. Don't forget, they wish you and yours a very Merry Christmas. By the way, other Christmas wishes this morning come to you from Burley Veterinary Hospital in Burley. They take care of your pets and livestock. AMI in Burley, I'll tell you what, they're always involved with wishing you all kinds of good things during the year, and especially right now, Merry Christmas. Thank you, AMI. Nature Nursery and Market. You know, they really have a unique business over there, and we appreciate them wishing you a Merry Christmas. Clark's for Shop up at Oakley, best doggone sausage in the world. Wishing you Merry, Merry Christmas. And Searles in Oakley, they got delicious buns and sandwiches up there. Oh, they all wish you a very Merry Christmas. What else have we got cooking right now? Oh, I want to tell you, I got to take care of all my commercials, and the phone's ringing in the background, and I'm busy. Holy smokes. Merry Sportsman's Christmas. If you've got a member in your family, like me, Deanne, that loves the great outdoors, they have got some great, great buys for you this Christmas time. I urge you to stop in and check out, like if you're into archery, oh my goodness, they've got the Western Archery Edge and Timber Ridge recurve and longbows 20% off. And listen to this, they got Gold Tip Ballistic Hunter 400 arrows 6-pack for just $26.99. Woo-hoo! You better get in there and check out this buy and all the great buys, like an Abu Garcia Pro Max spinning combination rod and reel, just $39.99, was $69.99. You better run, don't walk. Get in there today at Sportsman's Warehouse, 1940 Bridgeview Boulevard in Twin Falls, and make it a merry Sportsman's Christmas. Absolutely. I want to remind you about next Thursday, the 19th. We are going to be over at Denny's Restaurant, America's Diner. We're going to be broadcasting live and direct from that location for our, what is it now, 5th or 6th annual Old-Fashioned Christmas. And it's going to be from 8 to 11 right there at Denny's, America's Diner. We're going to have Santa Claus there from the North Pole. Got all of his flight reservations taken care of. We're going to have Christmas carols from Ashley Ludlow. What a job she did last year, singing all the great Christmas carols. Prizes, everything. That is on Thursday, December 19th, from 8 to 11 at America's Diner, Denny's Restaurant in Burley. I want to also take the time to remind you about some other friends of ours that we really appreciate, including Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Oh, my goodness. Todd and the crew, life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits. They are devoted and dedicated to serving you. Please, please call them. Make an appointment. You'll be glad you did, for the protection of you, your family, and your business. 436-4424. That number again. 436-4424, Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Really good people. And last but not least, our friends over at Let's Ride. Oh, my goodness, they're on Highway 24, too. The location number is 270, Highway 24 in Rupert. Oh, my, they've got a lot of fun things for you over there. All your snowmobiles, all your snow bikes, all your accessories. What a great place to go Christmas shopping. Oh, stop in that showroom and just sit back and go, howdy, how did they get everything in here? It's quite a place. Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturdays, 9 to 4. Don't forget, where the fun is sold, Let's Ride. Right now, we get a chance to have a kind of a double dip. We very seldom get the opportunity to visit with this man more than once a week, and I'm honored to have him back on my program twice in the same week. And that's, of course, my dear friend in Golden, Colorado, Frosty Woldridge. Good morning.
Well, good morning, Zeb, and it's really a pleasure to get to really enlarge on what we were talking about. I think our nation really, at this point in time, is coming under incredible fracturing and literally bursting at the seams. If any of you watched the impeachment process going on, I love the latest House member that just got up this morning and said this thing is literally based on fraud. It's based on lies. Adam Schiff is one of the biggest liars in the United States of America. He's literally a pathological liar. There's no impeachable offenses going on, and yet Nancy Pelosi is carrying on this unbelievable national fraud against our elected president. And what makes me very angry is the fact that they started their impeachment processes the second he got elected and took his oath of office as the President of the United States. This is some kind of a democratic coup is what is going on, and thankfully, it's going to stop no matter what in the United States Senate, because it's certainly he's not going to get convicted. But putting the American people through this is one aspect of what's happening to our country by the leaders who have no concern about how they're fracturing and fragmenting our country. And I pray to God that this comes out as it should, and that the President of the United States remains in office and leads this country, and to not let one party, the Democrats, on a completely partisan-ish stance, try to destroy the President of the United States. I had to say that this morning.
No, I'm glad you did, because I watched the so-called ceremony this morning as they introduced the articles of impeachment with little Jerry Nadler and Pencil Neck Schiff and the rest of them. But on the side, in the background, was Nancy Pelosi, and she had a look of complete concern on her face, and almost like she's waiting for another Botox session. I wonder what's going to happen to these people.
Well, I know one thing. We, the American people, the majority of us, the ones who care about our country, I don't care who you are, Democrat, Independent, Republican. I've done a lot of research on this. The President has not done anything to break the laws of this country. He's stood for this country. He is an American. We elected him, and this unbelievable travesty of what's going on, obviously will be corrected in the Senate. But to put this country through 2 years of the Mueller report, which could have been done in 6 weeks to 6 months maximum, and all the fraud that went on it, but also the fact that we had CIA agents and FBI agents doing what, Peter Strzok and this girl named Paige, or whatever her name was, doing whatever they could to undermine the presidency and spy on the Trump campaign, shows you the kind of deep state that's going on there in Congress, and the fact that they don't like that this president is unorthodox and that he is not what they expected, and the fact that he's getting things done and making this country incredibly more prosperous. It goes to show you that there's unbelievable conflict there in Washington, D.C., and I pray to God that Trump continues to be president of the United States and moves ahead of this and above this, and also that he gets elected in 2020 again, and that this gives us a chance to survive what's going on here in the United States of America, pushed, unfortunately, by all of these Democrats who have no right to do this to our Constitution, and no right. I would like to see impeachment proceedings go against Schiff, certainly Nadler, and certainly Nancy Pelosi for what they've put us through and what they've done to us using their partisanship and their numbers there in the House of Representatives.
Frosty, I want to get into the subject matter that we talked about yesterday, and I'm going to ask you a rather simplistic question, but why do you suppose that in the last 5 years there has been an animosity building from various groups, including white people, Caucasians, against white people? Why do you suppose this is going on?
Well, it started in 1965, and I want every American listening to this today. Back in 1965, we had a national demographic of 90% European Americans, Caucasians, and we had 7% African Americans and 3% of the Hispanic, Latino, Mexican ethnic group in this country. And this country was moving along. We had our bumps and our everything else. We had Martin Luther King. We had the suffragettes early on. And one of the greatest things about the U.S. Constitution, we can change and make amendments to better ourselves. And we've done that. We got the suffragettes, and we got the vote for the women. We got the Equal Rights Amendment. We've got voter rights amendment. We absolutely equalized the African Americans so that they had full and complete rights under the Constitution. Those all happened because of the U.S. Constitution, and we're the only country, the first country in the world to completely do away with slavery and give full rights and full recognition to every race in this country. That's why this country has been so extraordinary. And as a matter of fact, 500,000 white men gave their lives for all of the black people in this country to have a free life and to have a right to vote and to have a right to walk into any grocery store or walk into any restaurant or any motel. It's a right that's not enjoyed in many places around the world. And the reason I know is because I've been to those places. And so the crisis that we're facing is that since 1965, when Howard Metzenbaum and Teddy Kennedy and Jacob Javits opened the floodgates, we have literally added over 100 million people. We went from 194 million back in 1965 to 300 million in 2006, and now we're at 330 million, and most of those people that have come to this country are from third world countries, and they're now making incredible impact, so that the white race is now down to around, I think it's 54 or 56%, and by 2042, the white race in this country will be the minority. The actual white race, or the Caucasians or European Americans, are the only race that could have and did actually create the United States Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and of course, the Declaration of Independence. And we're so popular having done that. And we then have been injected with so many people that really have no compatibility with our country, that now the very people that created Thomas Jefferson, George Washington, James Madison, John Adams, Alexander Hamilton, you can go, John Monroe, Jason Monroe, George Monroe. You can go to all of these pieces, George Mason, excuse me. You can go to all of these people. The only reason this incredible country exists is because of their brain power and their concern for the common man. Well, what's happening now is all of these different races, certainly the Muslims, who are probably the biggest racists on the planet, are starting to take a grip on our country. And if we continue down this path, we are going to turn into another India. And I don't know if anybody has gone to India, but I have. The reason India is so poor, the reason it is so fractured, the reason it has no continuity is because it has so many different ethnic groups fighting amongst themselves, separated amongst themselves. They can't get anything done. That's why something like 77% of Indians don't have a toilet, because they can't even put clean water systems in and water clarification plants. So do we want to go there? Well, it's obvious that we are going there. And right now, we're seeing that fracturing and that immigration continue to degrade the very people, the American people, the white race, the Caucasians of America, into the guilty party for everything.
Yeah.
And the fact is, we're not guilty of anything other than creating the finest country on the planet. I mean, am I wrong on this?
No, you're not wrong. And I want to we got a phone call waiting in the wings, and I want to get them on. But I want to say this. We're not talking in racist terms. We're not talking in a denigration of any race. But what I'm saying, Zeb Bell, I will not be, as a Caucasian, minimized or diminished by people that are absolutely out to see me, you, and other people replaced. I won't stand for that. And we have a caller. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Zeb. If Donald Trump decided to throw in the towel, how long would it be before the wall would come down and our government would collapse?
Well, I can't make any speculation. I don't deal in speculation. I only deal in facts. And I'm telling you this much, that with the United States and the Democratic Party on the edge of a cliff with their boot heels hanging over the cliff in trying to impeach this president and create more turmoil, more strife, and more lack of credibility, we're in trouble right now. And I don't care what anybody says. I'm not going to speculate on what's going to happen, but I'm just telling you that if they come with their hopes of impeachment and replacement in office of Donald Trump, we're all in trouble.
This will be a non-English speaking country in a short time.
I can't argue that. Thank you, Tony. God bless you. Frosty, your turn. Go ahead.
Well, and thank you. And, I don't have a speculation, but there is enough of America, and there are enough Americans at this point that are going to hold this country together. But again, I want to make sure that everyone understands that I celebrate all black people, all brown people, all yellow people, all red people, all white people. I respect and I celebrate every human being on this planet because I know they're doing the best they can. And the fact is that in America, every person of every color and every religion has the extraordinary right to express themselves and to be a part of this incredible country through voting, through participation, through city councils and letters to the editor, and making yourself known as a citizen of the United States. My whole thrust on the Zeb Bell show and every radio show I've been on and every column I've ever written in the last 30 years has to do with the fact that our country cannot continue to bring in endless immigration to the point where we exceed our carrying capacity, and certainly we will exceed and are exceeding our sociological carrying capacity. In other words, you bring in enough incompatible religions and cultures into America, you will not only fray the Constitution, you will break the Constitution, and you will face internal conflict that at some point will lead to civil strife like we haven't seen since the 1965 through 70 race riots, certainly Detroit, and I've lived through them, certainly what went on in Los Angeles with Rodney King and all that goes with that. When you get enough people who don't stand for the Constitution, do not abide by our laws, you will start to see this country break up and fracture, and that's what we're facing right now, and that's why I've always said we have to stop mass immigration into this country or we're not going to survive. And a matter of fact, Pat Buchanan, who I know personally and I've endorsed his books, he told about it in his book, Suicide of a Superpower. He wonders if we'll make it to 2024 without major internal conflict. And I have to agree that if we don't pull together, we are going to see major internal conflict in this country, and it's going to visit all of us at some point if we don't stop mass immigration in the United States.
I agree.
Especially Muslim immigration.
I've only got about 5 minutes left, and I'm only going to take one call more in this segment. Caller, please keep it precise and concise. Go ahead, please.
Well, you're talking about the percentage of whites going down. In California, the non-whites are a minority. And they somehow still elected Gavin Newsom, the most privileged white governor, that could be. And you say to yourself, well, what is happening? See, when you have immigrants, legal or illegal, you would hope that they learn to understand what provides for them. The golden goose is free market capitalism. Okay? You can't ruin it or we're all dead. I'm going to hang up.
Frosty, I'm down to about 3 minutes. Respond quickly, please.
There's no question, if we don't keep a cohesive free market capitalism moving in our country, and I would also say responsible capitalism, then yes, we're in a deep trouble. Because what you're seeing in Los Angeles with over 60,000 homeless, and I saw it personally. I saw the 11,000 homeless in Los Angeles. I see the 10,000 homeless in Denver. Folks, if you saw Chicago right now or Detroit or Minneapolis, you would literally... You would get a chill up and down your spine because we're losing those cities to this massive immigration invasion of our country. And once these people land on this country, there's no way to keep the cohesiveness and the American way intact. It starts to fracture, and it's already fracturing. They're already having massive Somalian attacks on whites right there in Minneapolis, Minnesota. You don't dare go into Los Angeles by yourself if you're a white person right now, or even a black person, because the Mexicans have taken over, and you're seeing literally anarchy going on everywhere in Southern California.
Frosty, real quick, short answer on this one. Have you ever in your lifetime, and you and I are the same age, have you ever in your life seen a party, a Democratic Party, with their possible nominee hopefuls for president, stand up at the podium and at these debates in unison condemn whites for their power in this United States? I've never seen this before.
Well, and it's beyond extraordinary, but also those Democrats are open borders people. And to open up the United States, and I don't know if anybody appreciates this, but 100 million people, if they had a ticket to come to the United States and leave their miserable countries, their poverty-stricken countries, their illiterate countries, 100 million, 200, 300 million, literally 500, even 1 billion people would come to the United States tomorrow if they could. And so that's what the Democrats want, because ultimately they want the power to absolutely have this country invaded, because that's what they would allow, and that's what they will allow. That's what they are allowing in places like California right now. So if we want this kind of a future for our children, then support the Democrats and support what their agenda is. Open borders, unlimited immigration, and complete destruction of our entire country as a culture, as a language, as an ethos, as a people. Then vote for the Democrats. If you want any chance for this country to survive even to 2030, let alone 2050, you got to stand up for your country, and we've got to stop this massive immigration invasion. We've got to stop the Democrats, who are the ones that are the proponents of it. And that's all. Those are the facts, Zeb, and that has nothing to do with white supremacy. It has nothing to do with white nationalism. It has to do with being an American citizen and want to bequeath to your children a viable and sustainable America.
Absolutely.
That's what I'm fighting for, and I know that's what you're fighting for. That's why I come on this show, to share with you and share with every listener at the Zeb Bell Show. We're in a mess right now, but we can come out of it. We must come out of it. We must stand for our country. And I stand with every person, every American, black, white, brown, red, or yellow, to absolutely preserve the United States of America for all of us.
Amen. A big amen. I've got to run, but I want to thank you for coming back on this day for kind of a duplicate of what we were trying to start and go through yesterday. Frosty Woldridge, Golden, Colorado, a dear, dear friend. God bless you, and like I say to everybody, Merry Christmas, Frosty. God bless you, man. Thanks.
And Merry Christmas, Zeb. I love you, and I love Deanne, and take care.
Thank you very much. Dear friend, Frosty Woldridge in Colorado. Time for the weather. My goodness sakes, the weather brought to you by Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. The best, the most professionals in providing accounting services to the Mini-Cassia area for well over 50 years. They know, and they can help you, your family, and your business. Yep, the best of tax return preparation, tax planning, business consulting, bookkeeping services, retirement planning, all of this, and so much more. You should not hesitate. You get a hold of them today. Offices in Burley and Rupert, the best. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. Right now, here's Scotty with the weather.
Well, looks like we're going to have a little bit of snow in our forecast. Good morning with your Zeb at the Ranch weather forecast. I'm Scotty Cameron. Expecting some fog this morning, and then hopefully that's going to burn off and be mostly sunny today with a high of 39. The clouds will start increasing tonight with a low of 23. About a 20% chance of snow, then mostly cloudy for tomorrow, a high of 40. Tomorrow night, mostly cloudy, a low of 27. Now, Thursdays when things start to get interesting, about a 70% chance of snow and rain, a high of 43. Friday, also about a 50% chance of rain and snow and a high of 41. That's your Zeb at the Ranch weather forecast. I'm Scotty Cameron. Have a great day.
Thank you, Scotty. Filling in for Gina today. And, of course, the weather this hour brought to you by our friends, the professionals, Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. The best of accounting services with offices at 1710 Overland Avenue in Burley and 625th Street in Rupert. I'm telling you, the pros. Working with and for you, Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. I am going to be giving away a ham in just a couple of minutes, so bear with me. Yes, we're going to be giving another ham away this morning for Christmas. Don't forget Merry Christmas wishes from Magic Valley Irrigation at 44 East, 500 South of Burley. Hello, Jeff and the crew. Oh, these are good people. They've been offering irrigation system service and repair since back in 1978. They are good. Magic Valley Irrigation, and they wish you and yours a Merry Christmas. How about the friends over at Magic Valley Carpet at 613 D Street in Rupert? They want to wish you a very Merry Christmas, and they've got all your flooring needs, all your carpet needs, and they're saying, come on in, we can help you. Merry Christmas, Magic Valley Carpet. And our old buddy, emphasis on the word old, Doug at Doug's Alternator and Starter Repair at 635 21st Street in Heyburn. What a good guy. And he says, remember the true meaning of the season, and also remember the senior centers. All those people need our help. Absolutely. Doug's Alternator and Starter Repair in Heyburn, wishing you and yours a very Merry Christmas. Oh, we've got so many good people on the air wishing you Christmas wishes, and now it's time. It is time to give away another ham for Christmas. Compliments of Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations, and Zeb at the Ranch, Zeb and Deanne Bell, and we really want to say thank you to everybody that sent us thank yous for the winners of the hams so far. We appreciate all that. Here is the question to win a ham for Christmas dining, and you can redeem our certificate that we will mail to the winner, and you can go into Smith's Food King and either the Twin Falls or the Burley location and get your ham. Here's the question for the day. Who composed the songs for the film White Christmas? Who composed the songs for the movie White Christmas with Bing Crosby and, what was it, Rosemary Clooney and Danny Kaye? Oh, we've already got a winner? My goodness sakes. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. What's the answer?
Irving Berlin.
Who is this?
Adrian.
And give your full name so everybody knows who is the winner.
Adrian Allen.
You know something, Adrian? I thought that was going to be a little tougher this morning, asking that question, and you must have burned up the keys on your phone because you knew the answer, Johnny, on the spot. It was Irving Berlin, and we'll send you, stay on the line, Wheels will get your address, we will send you a certificate to go to Smith's Foods and redeem it either at Twin Falls or Burley. You've won yourself a great big 5-pound Christmas ham.
I thank you so very much.
God bless you. Merry Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas to you and all your listeners.
Thank you. Wow, that was quick. I thought that would be a little tougher this morning, but yes, it was Irving Berlin that composed all the songs for the movie White Christmas, and that's one of the movies, along with It's a Wonderful Life and everything, that I have to watch every year. Really enjoy those. Want to remind you, too, about what's going on over at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. I understand that they have got another great big shipment of recliners coming in. Holy moly. Look over there. They got a great big herd of recliners. I mean, not just a little space. They got a herd of recliners in all sizes and shapes and colors and fabrics and everything. You better get in there and check it out today. And, by the way, too, they also have dinnerware. Dinnerware for only $45. Check that out with all kinds of great Christmas gift-giving ideas. Come on in, shop, look, and buy. They can help you. Jeff and the rest of the crew at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. 459 Overland in Burley. You stop in and see those good folks today, and they wish you and yours a very Merry Christmas. Oh, and one more good note is we want to mention to you that our dear friend Dr. History is coming up in just a few minutes. Don't forget, if you want to learn more about CBDs, you know what? There is no high with CBDs, no addiction, and absolutely they help the natural system of the body in trying to mend and repair and function properly. Absolutely. I urge you to get into our friends at American Shaman at 1259 Overland Avenue in Burley and find out more. They're open Monday through Friday, 10 to 5, and they've got all the essential oils from plant therapy and blends, single oils and roller balls, everything right there for you and a healthier you at American Shaman in Burley. Right now, we're going to go to the news, and we'll be back in about 7 minutes. Here we go. Hour number 3. And guess who has just come into the studio for the first time in like 3 years? Dr. History is going to be on with us this morning in just a moment. Don't forget, we're brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you with the best of tires to get you through anything old man winter throws at you. And don't forget, too, Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. And Greystone Crossing Senior Living. Wow, what a beautiful place. 12-bedroom home, absolutely phenomenal. And the rooms and the kitchen area, everything just really, really nice. And they provide 3 meals a day, snacks, housekeeping, local transportation. You better check it out, seniors. If you want to stay where your friends are staying and have a great time, it's at Greystone Crossing Independent Senior Living. And the number to call, 208-650-4979. I will repeat that number. And you can call and see the premises and talk to Kelly and Matt Wiggins, 208-650-4979. Greystone Crossing Senior Living. You better call them today. Well, for heaven's sakes, I probably ought to extend my hand and say, hello, I'm Zeb Bell. What's your name?
Good morning, Zeb. And I got to say, it's good to be back. Good to be back, yeah.
I don't want to get too corny, and I missed you.
Well, I missed you, too.
Okay. You want to move that mic this way? No, this way just a little bit. A little fuzzy. With your cold, I didn't want anything.
Yeah.
What did you do to your finger?
I'm coaching my grandsons in basketball.
Yeah.
And being the amazing basketball player that I am.
Yes, you are.
I caught the ball on the tip of that finger, and it fractured the little bone on the top of there. So I got to wear this splint for about 6 weeks.
So Grandpa really didn't end up showing him anything.
No,
I see.
Not much.
Except maybe some bad words and jumping up and down.
I did not say anything bad.
Okay, all right.
So before we start...
Boy, he got over that subject in a big hurry.
So I got to say a shout-out to a couple of people. Melody, who wrote to me and had some suggestions and about a book that I'm going to look up, and Stephanie, who actually came up to Yellowstone and Idaho and Jackson Hole, and she's also a member of the Choctaw tribe, and so I'm going to do a show sometime on the Choctaw tribe. And so, anyway, I appreciate that from Melody.
You mean to tell me Stephanie. They were listening and they wanted to get a hold of you?
They did, and they can go to my webpage and they can send me notes and thoughts, and anyway, so I appreciate that.
That opens the door for a lot of discussion, notes
does.
And thoughts.
It does.
Okay, well, that was nice of them.
It was. I appreciate that.
And you're sending them a Christmas present?
Of course.
Yes.
Yeah, it's in the mail.
Okay.
So, since I've been gone, we went to Santa Barbara, California.
Yeah, I took a cruise out of there.
Okay, and I'm going to talk about a tribe of Indians that is not very well known.
Oh.
The Chumash. Chumash tribe.
Chumash.
Chumosh.
I have a dumb question for you.
Okay.
Whether it's the Sioux or the Aborigine or, no, that's not the right name. That's over in Australia. But Sioux, Blackfoot, or any tribe, how did they get their names?
You know, that's a good question, and I'm really not sure on that. I could probably find that out really.
Oh, okay. Well, you don't have to.
Let's get going
get to
here.
the merit of the program.
Okay. So the Chumash life was centered on the village. There used to be hundreds of villages in the Chumash territory, and some as large as towns, and some quite small villages were usually built on high ground near a good source of water, a stream, lake, or whatever. But these people have been there for actually thousands of years.
In the Santa Barbara area,
right, north and south of there, and probably one of the oldest tribes in North America.
Really?
For thousands of years, actually. But the largest settlements were located along the coast of the Santa Barbara Channel, and they served as the political capitals, if you want to say, for the surrounding area, and as trading centers.
Huh.
Now, the chief's house was the largest in the village, and he often had many relatives living with him, and he was the only man allowed to have more than one wife. Okay. Now, there was always at least one sweat house in every village, and it was used not only for cleansing the body, but for masking human scent. Now, you may say, why? Well, this was very important to the hunter, especially when he was stalking deer, that he not smell bad.
Okay, now hang on just a second. They had the sweat lodge.
Right.
And they said that by going in there and almost dying because you're so hot, you're masking your scent.
Well,
wouldn't it enhance your scent?
No, it just cleaned them off. Really good. Really good. So the sweat house was partly underground. It was covered with mud and thatch, and you got into it by a ladder through the roof.
Well, sounds like a fun place.
Yeah, and each village also had a playing field, which was a smooth, level area big enough to play games such as, and I wish I should have looked this up, a game called shinny, another game called kickball, and another one called the hoop and pole game. And I'm not sure what exactly those are.
That's kind of like Green Bay played last Sunday.
Okay, I guess. Now, another feature of the Chumash village was the ceremonial dance ground, in which was located a sacred enclosure. Now, this semicircular area was surrounded by a high fence and mats in which religious rituals were conducted by the priests and the shamans.
This was when?
This has been for thousands of years.
Really?
Yeah.
Down there in California?
Yeah. Yep, in the middle part there.
And Nancy Pelosi was one of the high priestess.
I don't know.
Oh.
But each village had its cemetery nearby. The graves were marked by painted poles. On each grave were placed some of the belongings of the dead person. There was also special activity areas within the village where tools and artifacts were made. And there would be an area where men would make chipped stone tools like knives, arrowheads, and sometimes the place would be set aside for the manufacture of canoes. And I'm going to talk more about that in a minute, Zeb. But each village traditionally had access to certain hunting, fishing, and collecting grounds. Now, sometimes there were some disputes between the villages over who had the right to certain collecting or fishing grounds. Okay, so a little contention. Now, they might decide the issue by having a ritual battle. Now, let me explain. Warriors from the two sides would meet and take turns firing arrows at each other. The battle...
Well, that sounds to me like it could be a short-lived battle.
The battle ended after several men were killed. Okay?
Oh.
Now, other quarrels were settled by...
So it's kind of like a team contest?
I guess. You take turns shooting.
Oh.
Now, other quarrels were settled by taking revenge and burning down the enemy village, but often the chiefs were able to make peace without anybody getting hurt.
So I want to go back to this arrow contest. You mean literally they had teams of tribe members.
Yeah.
And they would stand and they'd shoot at each other. Right. And the team that had the most people left at a certain time?
I guess they said, okay, you guys win. Or are you ready to quit? Something like that. Yeah.
How'd you like to be the referee?
Yeah. Now, in spite of these occasional quarrels, the villages were usually peaceful places centered on family, work, religion, games, and music. Now, I'm going to talk a little about their food. Part of the diet consisted of plant foods, available only seasonally, but there were a lot of kinds that could be stored for later use. These were a very industrious people. Now, acorns were the single most important plant food. There were several kinds that were ground, leached, and cooked into a thick mush, which is kind of bland, but it fills you up.
They beat these acorns into a mush.
But they would sometimes add meat or fish or wild cherry pits or something to make it a little
wild
better.
Cherry pits.
Yeah, that sounds
Man,
good.
I'm telling you, that's living for me.
Now, they also made a thin kind of soup of cattail pollen.
Cattail pollen.
So pine nuts were gathered. Seeds of the chia sage. It was tasty and nutritious.
Oh, yeah.
Now, in early spring, green shoots of what they called miner's lettuce and clover. They ate fruits like elderberries, prickly pear cactus, and manzanita.
Eating a cactus is very tricky.
You do it delicately. Yeah. But they had some edible bulbs that they would dig up.
Really?
Now, sugar was actually made from a sticky, sweet deposit left by aphids or scale insects on the stems of the large wild carrizo grass.
You're kidding.
So that's how they sweetened it. It must have been okay,
Are you willing to try it?
Sure, I'd try anything once. Now, clothing, okay? Now, one of the early Spanish explorers, here's what he had to say about the clothing. He said the dress and adornment of the women were graceful. From the waist down, they usually wear 2 very soft pieces of buckskin, ornamented with strings of beads, snail shells, and others of various colors, which give a very pretty effect. From the waist up, they wear a cape of fox, otter, squirrel, or rabbit fur. So they dressed very nicely, colorfully. Now, the men, he goes on to say, the dress of the men is total nothing. Okay? Some of the men...
You're on your own here, buddy.
Okay, I'm going to skip through this real quick.
I figured you would.
Oh, man.
Made you cough.
Made me cough. Now, some of them have a cartilage of the nose pierced, and all have their ears perforated with 2 large holes in which they wear little canes like 2 little horns.
In their ears?
Yeah.
These are the guys.
Yeah. Now, he says the Indians were, quote, well-formed and of good body. The men actually go clothed with a large cloak made of the skins of rabbit, hare, fox, and sea otter. So they weren't totally
You're
without.
on your own, man. Go ahead. Explain it. Go ahead.
They had these nice robes to cover themselves up.
All right.
Now, the explorers also noted that the men wore a belt or a net around the waist, and that's where they carried their knives or weapons.
Oh.
Okay. Now, let's talk about their houses.
I can't wait.
The Chumash Indians lived in round, thatched houses. To make a house, they set willow poles into the ground in a circle. Then they bent the poles toward the center to form a dome. Okay. Now, the outside was covered with thatching of the house was like bulrushes or cattails. So, not bad. And each house had a fire pit in the center for heat or for cooking. And in bad weather, so in fine weather, they did the cooking outside, but they could cook inside these because it had a hole in the middle.
Yeah, we're talking
like
Santa Barbara, California, and it's really nice down there.
It is. It is a nice place down there. Now, the single-family homes were usually 12 to 20 feet in diameter, depending on the size of the family. The chief's house was much larger, up to 35 feet across.
Oh, my.
Because he did have a lot of visitors and people like that. Now,
what was the inside built like?
I really don't know. It's just, whatever furs, and I don't know about chairs.
Did they go to Lee's Furniture?
I don't think so.
Oh.
I don't think so. Now, the most famous invention of the Chumash was the plank canoe. Now, I'm going to explain that. It was very important to their way of life. Now, keep in mind, without horses or engines, a good, fast boat was the best way to travel and to carry goods from place to place along the coast. The Chumash were good traders, and they exchanged many kinds of things between their large towns on the coast of Santa Barbara. They also used these strong, well-built canoes for fishing, for hunting seals, sea lions, and sea otters. So they went out in the ocean a lot.
On those canoes.
Yeah. Now, the canoe was really, actually, they say more valuable than a house.
Wow.
And only a rich man owned a canoe. Now, the canoes were fashioned entirely by hand with tools that were made from stone, animal bones, or shells.
How did one become rich?
I don't know. I guess by what you collected and sold and traded. So, now the best material for making a canoe was redwood. Now, it swells up when it gets wet, and this helps to prevent leaks. It is also easy to work because it's kind of a soft wood. Now, because redwood trees don't grow near the home of the Chumash people, they looked for large redwood logs which had floated down from further north, up where the redwoods are, along the coast.
Well, sure.
So, and when they couldn't find any redwood, they did use pine. Okay. Now, after collecting the wood, the Indians would split it into long planks about 3/4 of an inch thick. They would then carefully shape the planks using tools made of deer antlers, sharpened stones, or clam shells. They smoothed the planks with shark skin sandpaper.
Say that again fast 5 times.
Shark skin sandpaper, so they could fit it together tightly. Now, holes were drilled and the planks were tied together.
Who do you suppose was the first person that said,
I don't know.
I got to go out and get some shark skin and put it on my canoe?
Let's try this.
Okay.
Now, when at last the canoe was finished, the Chumash made it quite waterproof by painting it with a mixture of tar, pine, pitch, and red ochre color.
It does make you wonder who figured that out.
But again, these people were there for really thousands of years. Long time. Now, the canoes were often large, about 30 feet long.
That's a long canoe.
That is. Now, this is interesting, too. It's called the Brotherhood of the Canoe. And this was a special group of men who knew how to make canoes and how to travel in them across the Santa Barbara Channel. Now, if anyone wanted to learn how to make canoes, he had to ask to be admitted to the Brotherhood. If he were accepted by the others, he would have to make a payment to the Brotherhood. Then they would adopt him as a brother and teach him their secrets of making these canoes.
What kind of payment?
I don't know. Just whatever it took to get into this brotherhood. But it was a step up economically.
Yeah.
Now, members of the Brotherhood lived in all the different canoe ports around Santa Barbara Channel, and each brother would help any other brother who was in trouble. For example, if his canoe was damaged or stolen, they'd step in and help this guy out. And there were some of the richest and most respected people of the Chumash towns. They could go way out into the channel, catch the biggest fish. They could travel to the other islands and bring back heavy loads of food, tools, ornaments. They would even go to Catalina Island.
I was just going to ask if they went that far out.
They went that far south.
Holy cow.
And they actually, in Catalina Island, they had a valuable item called a steatite type of a rock, and they could actually make bowls out of this steatite.
Really?
And that's the only place they could get it was there in Catalina Island.
You
so they
wouldn't catch me out on that ocean with a canoe.
No. Now, the Chumash obtained a lot of things they needed from their own neighborhood, but they built their houses near fresh water, near good places to gather plant foods, to hunt or fish. They obtained a large variety of foods and different useful materials, as well as luxury goods, by trading with the people from other villages. Now, there were two ways of trading.
Okay.
The first one is barter, which we all know, where one person traded one thing directly for something another person had, and then trading for money. Now, you may ask, what was the money? So here's what it is. The Chumash often used strings of shell beads for money. Now, the Chumash, the denomination was measured by wrapping the string of beads around your hand. Okay? It was said that 8 strings of beads around your hand were worth a Spanish silver dollar.
Really?
So that's how they measured the wealth of this string of beads. Okay, and so they would use these Spanish dollars to trade with other tribes, actually.
Well, I'll be.
Now, these island Chumash, the ones who were out in the islands, they traveled by canoe to the mainland towns to trade their shell bead money and other things they had made.
How many people were in the canoe? I mean, like...
I don't know. I'm imagine that
30 foot, that's a big boat to push.
But if you had a lot of goods to take, you probably didn't take, I'm going to say, more than 2 people maybe. And maybe other times, maybe 5 or 6 or whatever. But out on the islands, they didn't have any deer or rabbits on the islands, so they were glad to trade for deer hides from the people on the mainland. But the Chumash who lived in interior valleys and mountains would walk down to the coast and trade for things they needed. They also traded with non-Chumash people from far away. Now, there's another tribe I hadn't heard of called the Yokuts of the San Joaquin Valley and Tehachapi Mountains, and they would trade them for obsidian, which, of course, was made into arrows and deer. Yeah,
I've been there many times.
Yeah. Now, the Chumash even traded with the Mojave Indians who lived near the Colorado River.
Mm-hmm.
The Mojave brought pottery, woven cotton blankets, and it took at least 2 weeks for the Mojaves to walk all the way across the desert to the Pacific coast. So they would walk 2 weeks over and 2 weeks back to trade. So it was a pretty amazing trading system.
Oh, did they have horses?
No. Not at that time. They didn't.
So how did they carry all the goods?
Just on baskets on their back. They would have a strap that went across their forehead and a basket on their back. And the strap across their forehead would help hold the basket on their back. So, but after many years of trading, the Indian foot travels were worn deep on the hillsides and the canyons. And when the Spanish explorers came to California in the 1760s, they followed the same trails, but now they're on horses. And years later, in the 1800s and 1900s, a lot of the new railroads and roads took those same trails that the Chumash took. So, now, as far as their social organization, they lived in clans. Okay, and people inherited their clan affiliation from their parents, particularly along their mother's line. People from different villages used different styles of body painting so that you could tell who was from each tribe or clan. Now, people who lived in small villages usually married those who came from different villages, and they were not members of their clan. And after a couple married, the husband usually moved to his wife's village and lived among her relatives. Now, each household was composed of a married couple, their children, and maybe a grandparent or an older relative. And there was no one ruler over all the Chumash people. Instead, each village had at least one chief, and he was the leader, and he was the authority. And actually, some women became the chief in their clan or the village.
Oh, brother, a whole bunch of Nancy Pelosi's.
But some parts of the Chumash territory were organized into chiefdoms or group of villages. But the Chumash also shared some basic beliefs with other Indian cultures. They believed in, they had shamans and one thing and another.
What was and I'm almost out of time here, but I want to ask you this question. What was the period of time and why did a lot of the tribes just fade into...
One word, Zeb, smallpox. Smallpox. This huge tribe group of people, thousands of them over there, and as the Spanish came in and they set up the missions, and I did go to the Santa Ynez mission and the Santa Barbara mission, and I learned a lot about the monasteries and one thing and another, and their goal was to help the Indians, which they did, but unfortunately they also brought smallpox, and like with a lot
and that wiped them out, huh?
There's still quite a few there.
Really?
Yeah, there really are some original.
Still building canoes?
Yeah, I don't know, but
no, I'm not trying to be funny when I ask that.
I agree with you. No, they are trying to keep their language and their skills as it has been for hundreds of years. So they are trying to maintain that.
You made a point one time that the Indian tribes, whether they're the Sioux, the Chumash, whatever, there was never anything written down.
No, that's the unfortunate thing. So it was, passed down from...
Unless it was painted on a cave wall or something.
Right. Now, the Indians had games.
I've got a minute left.
I know. Well, I'm about done here, but they played games. They would sometimes gamble. They had a game called Shinny.
They went to jackpot.
Kickball. No, they didn't. They played marbles.
Oh, really?
They were skilled artistic people. They made wooden bowls. They made baskets. Just an amazing group of people. They actually were musical. They had musical instruments. They had choirs who would sing.
Oh my goodness!
They actually had some of the very best singers that would perform at the missions, at the Santa Barbara mission.
No, it won't be long, and you'll get a little deal in the newspaper or the mail that says you're welcome to attend the Chumash choir.
Not the way I sing.
Okay. I got to run them.
I know it.
Doctor of History, that was really... Maybe we ought to pursue this a little bit further next week.
Well, I pretty well told about the Chumash Indians.
Okay.
That's
right.
Pretty much the gist of...
That was interesting.
An amazing group of people that I'd never heard about.
I got to go, but thank you so much. It's good to have you back.
Thank you.
And thank you for all the Christmas presents.
You're welcome.
Hey, don't forget Senator Kelly Anthon, District 27, a great senator for all of us. Service to the families in this area, and for that matter, the entire state. He knows the issues, and believe me, we can trust him for everything he does for us here in Idaho. He wishes you and yours a very Merry Christmas, Senator Kelly Anthon and his family, District 27. Along with another great representative, Fred Wood from District 27, Seat B. This man, like I said many times, knows the issues and knows how to help all of us here in the state of Idaho to grow and prosper. A great guy working for us, wishing you a Merry Christmas, Representative Fred Wood. And yesterday we had Speaker of the House and Representative Scott Bedke on our program. A rancher, and he understands the great outdoors. He understands all the problems here in the state of Idaho and how to help solve them. And he wishes you and your family a very Merry Christmas from Speaker of the House, Scott Bedke, and his family up in Oakley. Right now, we're going to send it over to our main studio. I'll be back in just a few minutes.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb.
Thank you and welcome back. I've got a couple of messages real quick before we go to our guest, and I want to urge you to get a hold of Lon Hardy and Sharon Wilmot with 7K Metals and talk to them about creating your own savings security through silver with 7K Metals. Absolutely. Help yourself build your financial future and security. Easy for me to say after I bit my tongue. And you can create your own security bank through silver purchases that come right to your home. It's a savings opportunity and a valued treasure for your loved ones in the future. Find out more. Contact Lon Hardy at 312-8699 or Sharon Wilmot at 430-3259. Tell them I told you to call 7K Metals and your silver future. You check it out today. Also, I want to urge you to stop in and do some of your Christmas shopping at Patterson's Electronics at 421 East Main in Burley. Curtis and Lorena, really, really good folks. And believe me, they've got so much for you and what you need. Home theater systems, video surveillance cameras, car stereos and speakers. You can travel in style with that kind of music. Complete sound systems, all your television sets from Samsung, Sony, Toshiba, LG TVs. What a selection. They're open Monday through Saturday, 9 to 6. I urge you to stop in today. Patterson's Electronics, 421 East Main in Burley. The number to call, 678-6997. Right now, we're going to go to the phone line, and we have with us, and I've really been interested in having this man on my program. He's an international wholesaler with experience conducting business in China, Hong Kong, and actually all around the globe. Let's give a nice welcome to trade expert Tom Keogh. Tom, how are you?
Good morning, Zeb. Nice to talk to you. How are you?
Well, we're sitting up here in Idaho and kind of worried about what things are going to transgress over the next couple of weeks and months with the possible impeachment of Donald Trump. I'll say right up front, Tom, I want the Democrats to leave him alone. I think we're on a better course and a better future with him. And with that, I'll say, what do you think?
Well, they're not going to leave him alone. Some of these Dems from the day that the man got elected announced that they were out to get him, so which is pretty wild, when you think about it. It's unprecedented. Here the guy gets elected, and he hasn't even sworn in, and a bunch of them are vowing to go get him, Jerry Nadler being one of them. So, look, this is all they have. You remember back to when Trump ran, he didn't really have the support of a lot of the rank-and-file Republicans either. Paul Ryan endorsed him. Heck, he had won a Republican nomination, and he was it. And, they held their nose, a couple of them, and then they had to endorse him because the party made them. But the world is waking up to the fact that we have a very different type of man in the White House. He's not entrenched in terms of doesn't owe the party regulars a nickel or a farthing. He hasn't taken money from them. He hasn't worked his way through the political system. And that therein lies, I think, a big part of the rub is that nobody can make this man knuckle under, but that's also one of the great beauties of having him as our guy in the White House.
Absolutely.
Look, I think they're going to impeach him, but I don't think the Senate's going to do anything. I think he'll be fine.
Tom, I'm going to ask you a big favor.
President again, with, and that's what they want. They want to be able to say, well, whoever our nominee, whoever the Democratic nominee is running against the president, a man who's been impeached.
Tom, I've got to ask you a big favor. I believe we're on a cell phone connection, and I'm going to ask you to hold it really, really still. Don't move, because I don't want to have it fade in and out, if you would, please. I'd appreciate that.
I'm on a cell phone, but I'll keep it as close to my ear and mouth as
I appreciate it. Tom, with your ability and your knowledge about trade and what's going on around the world and what's happening with China, Hong Kong, etc., what about the transition from various other presidents, be it Trump, be it Bush, be it anybody in the past? What makes this president and what his thoughts are about trade? Why are things looking better for a more fair trade for the United States?
Well, he's approaching his position and almost as a CEO of a major corporation. In other words, he's dealing and wheeling and dealing. I don't mean that in a negative sense. I mean as a businessman, he's operating as if he was still running, his corporation. That's his style. That's what he brings to the position. It's very refreshing. We haven't had a businessman of his stature in the White House in, I don't know, in my lifetime. So, look, he's not. He doesn't worry about what the rank and file people in the IRS or the Commerce Department or any of these other agencies have to say. He's going to try and do what's best for the American people, regardless of their political persuasion. I think we're going to be fine on trade. No one has taken on the president. No president has taken on China the way he has taken on China. And even Chuck Schumer, who doesn't agree with Trump on anything, came out a couple of months ago in a press conference commending him for tackling this trade issue with China. So I think at the end of the day, we'll be fine. The farmers will be fine. A lot of your listeners will be fine. And I thank all your listeners who are farm families for standing and supporting the president, because they've been very loyal to him in a tough time.
Let me ask you this question then, and I don't mean to lift the carpet up and look at all the dirt underneath it, but why did we, the strongest country in the world, why did we allow such an unbalanced trade act to continue for so many years so that finally Trump comes in and tries to clean it up? Why did we allow all this to happen?
Well, I think the advent or the coming of age, so to speak, of China with cheap labor, and they were able, people like you and me or anybody else doing business that was manufacturing different items in the States, all of a sudden say, hey, we can go to China and get it done in Shenzhen or Guangzhou, or, they've got manufacturing facilities that can provide it to us for half of what we're paying. So this occurred, in our lifetime, unfettered, and it's only recently that we realized that a lot of the deals that our corporations made and the U.S. government made were not necessarily the best for the security of the American people. And I think Trump is stepping in the fray, so to speak, and saying this is going to happen. Not on my watch. It's not going to happen. So I said this several months ago. We're going to have a trade deal, but it's going to be a smorgasbord. It's going to be a 7 or 8 course meal. We're going to get a little bit, then go to phase 2 and get another little bit. Because you're trying to turn two of the two biggest economies of the world around to where they're in agreement with one another on so many, many issues. And look, we don't, we're a free society. Theirs is not. We elect our leaders. They do not. We have free internet, television, radio, newspapers. They do not. And, most of the major corporations in China are what they call SOE, state-owned enterprises. The government owns them. So you drive down Beijing and Shanghai, and you don't see any bank names that that you and I would recognize, not even any European banks, because they're all little banks that the Chinese government either owns or puts people into business. So it's trying to get a fire hose coupled with a straw, and it's going to be difficult, but it's in the best interest of both economies and both countries to make some things start to happen, and I think you will.
Tom, when you hear the moo of a cow, we've got a caller on my program, but I want to ask you this question quick, short answer. What is it like? You've been there and done that type of thing, but what's it like to negotiate with the Chinese when they've had such a free run over us for so many years? It's got to be really difficult, isn't it?
Well, it is different. The good news is that the United States government, through the Commerce Department or the Department of Agriculture, we have key people in every consulate and every embassy around the world. Most people don't realize that, we hear State Department people, these people have gotten education, made a career service, being career diplomats. Well, you can do the same thing with the Department of Agriculture and what they call the FAS, Foreign Ag Service, or U.S. Department of Commerce. So when I travel and I need help, I set it up ahead of time where they provide me with interpreters, they help me with literature, they help me get things set up so I'm not traveling into a city or a country ice cold. I know who I'm meeting with. I know what we're going to be talking about. The issues have already been hashed out a little bit. You know, I'm not walking in cold to see Zeb. Zeb and I have communicated a few times, maybe through our government counterparts, but at least we've done some communicating. So it's the U.S. government can really help exporters of any size now, and you know, with cell phones, laptops, you know, tablets, all this, you know, it's much easier to communicate with people where 30 years ago you couldn't find them. Now you can find them.
Absolutely.
You know, our government can help you find them.
We have a caller with a question.
To help American corporations that want to expand into new markets.
We have a caller with a question for you, Tom. Caller, please, quickly, you're on the air. Thank you very much.
Yeah, at the summit last week, and the supposed leaders of other countries, Western Europe mostly, were supposedly gathering in there making fun of Trump, including Boris Johnson, and every one of them have economies that are suffering, and including China's economy is suffering. You know, here we have a man that has literally changed the way the presidency works, and everybody else is still trying to make fun of him. But I think what they really are is afraid of him. I'll hang up.
Respond to the caller, if you would, please, Tom.
Well, they're afraid of him, and they don't know how to deal with him, and they're jealous of him more than afraid of him. You know, they were cackling. You know, the Bible says beware of backbiters. They're backbiters. You know, they were talking behind his back. You don't do that with a man, period, especially someone you're supposed to be friends with and is doing business with, especially someone who's the President of the United States. And God bless him for saying, you know what, I'm not doing another press conference. I'm leaving. You know, I don't need you guys. Look, that NATO group that your caller was just referring to is a defense alliance that came out of World War II to protect the countries that participate in it so they don't get overrun like they did twice in the 20th century by Germany or somebody else. And they haven't been paying their fair share. There are billions in the arrears, and Trump is sticking it to them, and they don't like it. Well, you know what he's saying? Look, you want us to defend you, you better pony up some more money and pay your, I think it's 2% of your GDP or whatever, and there's only 1 or 2 countries that have been doing it. So they don't like that either, but they can't operate without us over there, and so, you know, God bless them for doing it, for taking a stand.
Tom, let me ask you, I'm going to take the side, and I've said this many times on my program, that I am in favor of country of origin labeling on food products coming into the United States. I think the American consumer needs to know where the food was processed and where it was from. What are your thoughts about COOL, the country of origin labeling, in regards to our trade practices with agricultural commodities?
I mean, Zeb, for the most part, I think we do have country of origin labeling. I mean, you can pick up produce or Driscoll berries, and I just happened to mention Driscoll berries. I was down in Mexico. You know, they're the biggest producer of, you know, strawberries and those big blackberries. And if you look at it, it'll say that it comes out of Mexico. Yeah, I mean, absolutely, we should have country of origin labeling. Most countries don't have the sophisticated sanitation and disease-preventing procedures in their agriculture or, you know, animal husbandry or whatever. So it's very important that our people, you know, hey, you know, you're eating something that came from XYZ country, you know, and, you know, buyer beware. Look, you can't bring your products into the United States unless you pass some pretty sophisticated vetting or screening by the FDA, but look, stuff still gets in, still gets through, and I'm 100% in favor of COOL labeling. Absolutely.
You know, Tom, as you well know, and you've worked with the Department of Agriculture, et cetera, for a long time on trade, but there is a faction in this country, the United States, very unfortunately and very uneducatedly, if you will, that want to see the demise of agriculture because they don't believe it's good for the environment and they want to import all of our food. How would you respond to that problem?
Well, look, I'm a Christian, and I read the Bible. I tell somebody, go read the story about Joseph and Pharaoh, and you tell me. I mean, look, there's been plenty of countries in the 20th century, and probably even in the early part of this 21st century, that have been affected by freezes or blights or droughts or whatever. You know, the sophisticated farming where they had tremendous crops, they can't produce anything anymore. So. God help us if we stop producing and feeding our own people. I think that's one of the great strengths of America. I mean, there's been a consolidation of the farms. It's difficult for a small farmer to make it unless they're into some, I guess, organics or have a boutique niche. But we still feed our people pretty well, and we export a lot of our crops. And China is a big one of our customers for beans, soybeans and pork. They're the biggest pork consumers in the world. So, if we lost the ability or we gave up our farming, I think we would lose our autonomy as a country. We'd be too dependent upon other people.
Tom, real quick thought.
Excuse me?
Pardon my interruption. We had just a little delay there. I apologize. I've only got a minute left, and I wanted to ask you about just this morning. It looks like the USMCA is going to be passed. What are your thoughts about that trade agreement? Are you in favor of it, or are there some shortcomings?
Well, look, I think the president has wanted Congress to ratify it. Pelosi and gang, they just held back on it. Now they're trying to take credit for it, but whatever. Look, it's good for the American people. We need Canada and Mexico, and they need us. The three of us make up North America. So it's a healthy. Those are the two countries we want to be supporting and trading with. And I don't know why Trudeau was holding out, but it looks like he came to the table, and it looks like Canada's going to ratify it in their legislature this week as well. So I think it's good for us. We were giving up too much of America's authority in that TPP that Obama was trying to push through, and I'm glad President Trump wouldn't endorse it, and we're not in support of it. It's okay to go into these agreements, but you can't abrogate your authority as a sovereign nation, and that's what we would have lost some of that with the TPP.
Absolutely. We have another caller, and I'm only going to take one more minute. Caller, real fast. You're on the air. I'm going to have to cut you off after 30 seconds. Go.
Another thing that's hurting farmers is down in California, the orchards are turning into housing places, and here in Idaho, it's turning into subdivisions.
Tom, really, that's the truth. The encroachment of the urban folks into the rural area is really hurting agriculture, and somewhere along the line, we're going to have to figure out where the line stops, because we're going to need more land to go into productivity to feed the world. What are your thoughts?
Well, that becomes a local issue, whether it's in California or in Idaho or in Ohio or Illinois. I think the local elected officials have got to get together with the farm community and say, hey, we're going to preserve this land. We're going to create tax abatements and tax reductions and tax variances so you can keep the land. And maybe, there's got to be a concerted effort on the part of the Farm Bureau in these different states to work with the growers so that they get the maximum amount of money for their products. That's the other thing. We need to make sure that our farmers are not getting taken advantage of by the big grocery chains or whomever. So, look, I think we're waking up to the fact that we do feed a big part of the world, that farmland is becoming more and more scarce, and that's just what that caller just said is happening all across the United States. And I think it's incumbent upon our local elected officials to wake up and pay attention before we lose our farmland and a whole segment of really what our heritage of what makes America so great is that we can feed our people.
Absolutely. Tom Keogh, international wholesaler and experience with conducting business all over China, Hong Kong, throughout the world. Tom, I'm going to ask you a favor. I hope that when I call, you'll come back on the program, sir.
Zeb, I'd be delighted to, and I wish you a Merry Christmas and a good New Year, and happy to talk to people that support our president.
Merry Christmas and God bless. Tom Keogh, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Bye-bye now.
Thank you. Nice man and very knowledgeable about trade practices and what's going on around the world, Tom Keogh, and we're going to have him back. Holy smokes, right now I've got to remind you, do you know what's going on over at Edith's Cafe at 144 East Highway 81? Holy cow, they're sponsoring the Bar J Wranglers this Friday, December 13th, and it's going to be right there at their event center at 2500 Washington Washington Avenue in Burley. Oh, my goodness, what a great Christmas present. They've still got some show-only tickets left and some dinner and show tickets left. You better call right now at 878-2248. That number again, 878-2248. Edith's Cafe, 144 East Highway 81 in Burley. Oh, my goodness sakes. The show's going to start at 7:30 on the 13th. You don't want to miss this. And call for more information, 878-2248. Edith's Cafe, not only good food, but now with the Bar J Wranglers, a lot of good music, too, this Friday, December 13th. We got to go to the weather forecast quickly, and the weather brought to you by Scarro's Meats. Don Scarrow and the crew at 331 North Road, Jerome. The number to call, 324-7657, or you can go to their website, scarrowsmeats.com. Delicious meats, all kinds of meats from Scarro's Meats in Jerome. Right now, here's Scotty with the weather.
Well, looks like we're going to have a little bit of snow in our forecast. Good morning with your Zeb at the Ranch weather forecast. I'm Scotty Cameron. Expecting some fog this morning, and then hopefully that's going to burn off and be mostly sunny today with a high of 39. The clouds will start increasing tonight with a low of 23. About a 20% chance of snow, then mostly cloudy for tomorrow, a high of 40. Tomorrow night, mostly cloudy, a low of 27. Now, Thursdays when things start to get interesting, about a 70% chance of snow and rain, a high of 43. Friday, also about a 50% chance of rain and snow and a high of 41. That's your Zeb at the Ranch weather forecast. I'm Scotty Cameron. Have a great day.
Hey, thank you, Scott, man. Appreciate that. Scarro's Meats, Don Scarrow and the crew bringing you the weather this hour at 331 North Road, Jerome. Oh, you'd better call them on the landline, 324-7657. All their delicious meats. I love the bratwurst. And believe me, they are changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. Scarro's Meats. Want to throw out some Christmas wishes from some more great businesses. Rain for Rent over in Paul. They say, hey, Merry, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Our friend Scows with all your automotive needs in Burley and Rupert, wishing you a very Merry Christmas. Save on Shells. Hello, Anthony, right there on Overland and Burley. Great place, great guy. Save on Shells. And Dairy Queen. Boy, the food's great at Dairy Queen in Burley, and they all wish you and yours a very Merry Christmas. Wow, we're about out of time for this morning. Tomorrow on the show, we've got Dave Bigo, and let's see who else have we got. Dan Perkins is going to be calling in from Florida, and a couple other people I haven't confirmed yet. Going to be a great program. Don't miss that tomorrow. And tomorrow we're also going to give away another Christmas ham. Want to remind you about our friends at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations, with all the tires, all the different tread designs, all the sizes to get you through any kind of weather that's going to be sticking on the roadways. You stop over and check it out. They've got the best of winter tires for you. And along with that, they've got all the tire chains. And I also want to remind you, they've got the best doggone brake service of anywhere, anytime. Highly trained brake technicians helping you. Front end alignment, shocks and struts, batteries, all in this and more at all 7 locations. Lane in Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike in Buell, Mike in Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Trent on Overland in Burley. It's true, they all wish you a Merry Christmas. They're the best. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. That's going to be it for us today. Wheels, great job over there at the studio. Proud of you, young man. And we're going to be back tomorrow morning at 8:06 and ride the horse for 3 more hours, where we always say the way things were, the way things ought to be. And we always end the program with our 4 favorite words, in God we trust. See you tomorrow morning at 8:06. Have a great day.